Well, welcome everyone here. We are going to get into the Lynxspring product. I know that there are some partners and non-partners here. This was open to everyone. And one of the mottos that we have here is one platform, many possibilities, and we are open. So this of more of an overview of the JENEsys Edge portfolio and their IO expansion modules. We're also going to be talking about some applications and use cases across commercial, industrial, and even critical facilities. And then we're going to talk about some business elements, some estimating. I'm also going to be doing a few live demos, and then we're also going to talk about what we offer.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us. It's always a great opportunity for us to present some information to you, and hopefully you can get some information out of this that's valuable to you. And obviously, this is going to be an overview. We don't know the degree of complex experiences that we might have online, but we're going to try to really kind of build a foundational understanding of JENEsys Edge and what it is and what it is not in some cases, but its complexity, its simplicity, its abilities, and then we'll, as Charles mentioned, we'll get into some more how do you estimate, how do you license, how do you do some demonstrations, and so on and so forth. So JENEsys Edge, we have, in addition to our branded JENEsys 9000, we have 8 additional fully embedded controllers with the Niagara framework. Some of those are listed over here to the side, if not all of them, but they do have the same Niagara embedded on them, regardless of the size, regardless of the license. Niagara resides embedded on those hardware devices, just like a JENEsys 9000. What is sometimes different with Lynxspring is that our business direction has always been to be open, and you can't be open if you have a closed NICS. A NICS is a Niagara compliance statement. It's common on everything that's Niagara. Anything that's licensed with Niagara has a NICS statement, and ours is completely open. So it can be interoperable with many, many, many things, and it doesn't restrict the user from using it on many different things as well. Something that should be obvious, but is stated, we support all the open protocols, including backend Modbus. We include some sophisticated IP or IT type protocols like MQTT and others as well. We are Linux based, not QNX based. The previous JENEsys, as you may know, were QNX based. These products, including the JENEsys 9000, is a now Linux based product line, which inherently provides some degree of security along the way as well. We have done many things along the way to enhance the product, to make it more qualified for your projects, for your requirements, for your customers. So RMF accredited, so they're ready to be in the RMF environment. They're BTL certified. They support IPv6. Next slide, please, Charles. So the basic understanding here is that what is JENEsys Edge? It is Niagara and it is hardware. So it's Niagara embedded on our hardware. So that's what we call JENEsys Edge. That's as simple as it gets. And together it provides that's software, that advanced Niagara software, and creates interoperable integration and visualization opportunities, including what is different from a JENEsys, including control from the use of inputs and outputs. Most of our edges, all of our edges actually, have between 14 and 34 points of I/O. They are all IP-enabled devices. Well, they are generically IP devices. They also can support serial media as well. And all of them, they have high processing speeds and capabilities of collecting data. What we say edge is on the edge, and that's where the data is. So we collect data at the edge with our products. Next slide, please, Charles. We want to touch briefly on what's called our Onyx products. Onyx products augment the Edge portfolio. They enhance it. And just like the Edge portfolio, they are made in the USA. Everything that's branded Lynxspring, from a JENEsys Edge to Onyx brand, are USA made. They enable the Edge to be open and scalable with additional I/O. As you see on the right-hand side there, there's 14 points of I/O extended, 34 points of I/O. One on the far right is also back-end enabled for longer distances where you want to reach across a further distance than the Onyx network generally does, to create that enablement for more I/O. Next screen, please. And then, as you saw on the previous screen, there was these what we call Onyx wall modules. Onyx wall modules is generically enabled through the JENEsys Edge products. We connect to them directly. That connection provides communication and power, as easy as that. All right, so let's get a little deeper into the application of JENEsys Edge. We have, and we'll go through these here in a number of slides coming up, but we have what we call a 400 series, a 500 series, and a 600 series, and including the JENEsys 9000, which is a JENEsys 9000 controller. All of those products themselves are hardware with Niagara embedded. Okay, they're all the same thing. So we got to keep, that's one thing that sometimes is a mystery to people. They don't know what JENEsys Edge is. It's literally a JENEsys with the same JENEsys software on a smaller embedded controller with I/O. All right, and we license it differently, and we'll get into that later. But the 400 series, when you're looking at our portfolio, the 400 series is generally intended for smaller equipment, terminal or unitary controls. It can also reside within a legacy system. You might have a system that is BACnet, for instance, and you want to start doing a replacement program where I'm going to go the Niagara direction, and when a controller goes down, you can pop one of these things in, a Niagara device, and communicating BACnet if you need to, or you can have a parallel IP network and run these things on a Fox network itself. There is a application specific VAV with about 28 different applications, including G36 included on that VAV. All right, so next, let's talk about a little bit bigger applications, complicated applications or simple HVAC or other equipment applications. And by the way, we focus so much on HVAC and building automations, but because it is a Niagara product and because it does have I/O, its applicability goes way beyond building automation systems only or HVAC systems. But our partners tend to focus in on this type of application, so we'll just stay in that lane right now. So the 500 and 600 series tend to now get opportunity for more larger applications. The licensings support bigger applications as well in those series. As you can see, they also have 14 points. They also have 34 points like the 400 series, but they are intended to be focused on larger applications. And if you go to the next slide, Charles, and I mentioned before, in the early 2000s, I don't know how many of us might refer to JENEsys as network area managers. I still do because I'm old school. But when we go through the revision or the types of JENEsys throughout history, on the lower left is old school, the brick we used to call that started in the N4 days, or the AX days, sorry. In the middle is a JENEsys 8000. Over to the right, lower right, is a JENEsys 9000. And upper right is a Edge 634. The Edge 634, mind you, has the same software as any of those other ones, especially the JENEsys 9000 today with N4. And it could be not necessarily substitute a JENEsys, but be considered in addition to. or as an alternate to it, because it does offer those hardwired IO points, and it also has some onboard serial networks as well. It can be licensed to support 5,000 points and 100 devices. That is the license that the 634 can offer to you if you need it. All right, let's move on. All right, the 634, just want to give people a little bit more understanding of the sophistication of that device. It kind of rises above the entire JENEsys Edge line as of today. Its performance has been modified over the recent 6 months, and its capabilities have been expanded, including its environmental conditions it can operate in. So we have a commercial grade and an industrial environmental grade that can be used. So those of us that have applications that are in environments that that are not as desirable as we hope, or might be outside, the 634 is probably going to be able to fit that requirement. All right, so extending on what we talked about, the 400 series, the 500 series, the 600 series, and the Onyx IO, we also have products that are not dedicated to 4G and 900 megahertz, but they're in addition to. So on board these units are what we call transceivers. They can receive and they can and transmit 4G signals, so it can be a router, 4G router. It can have use of all the applications that you normally would want to use on an edge, whatever that might be, whatever Niagara can support. And also we have an option for wireless sensors, including forthcoming, hopefully before the end of the year, a LoRaWAN option. So that gives us more flexibility. The IO gives us more expandability. So you can imagine these are all the edges with Onyx, with the wall modules, do create options for creating different applications or satisfying different applications along the way. Next slide, please, Charles. We talk about now with a JENEsys Edge portfolio at your fingertips, including what Niagara Web Supervisor, including JACE 9s. You can literally create a horizontal IP architecture in your wherever your applications require it. They also provide all the interoperability amongst different systems and integration of different systems, right? So when we go from left to right or right to left, all the same capabilities that Niagara provides from one end to the other is there from the other end. So don't forget that. It is only limited by its license. So when we go from right to left, we have the smallest of licenses in the VAB to the largest of licenses in JACE 9s or Edge 634s, right? So all those 9s and edges can be interoperable or exchangeable with whatever the application or requires of you. Next, please. Some people might see this and go, I kind of understand this one. You showed me a horizontal topology, but here we go with more of a standard one. But again, an edge controller can operate in the center there as a network area manager, being the interface, integrating and making things interoperable with one another. And down the line, we can be a standalone application-specific controller or a programmable controller, serving, operating HVAC, integrating other energy or DERs, distributed energy resources, tanks, traps. All those types of things are capable with an edge. I hope that comes clear. Okay, next screen, please. Okay, we're going to review a few things here, but first and foremost, when you think about JENEsys Edge, what is it and why? It's a fully Niagara framework. These are native Niagara devices. And as well as a JENEsys 9000. It's a Niagara native device. So our edges are equal in that they are a Niagara native device. Licensing and some physical differences are what makes the things more applicable for whatever the use you need. All right, comprehensive and flexible. I mentioned earlier some Niagara licensing options. I think Charles might get into that more in detail, but when you look at that horizontal network from the right to the left, it's the smallest of licenses, creates that ability for that Niagara application to work on very small equipment. To the left, where you have that same Niagara environment working on large network area management systems, interoperability, larger complex systems as well. Again, the Niagara conformance statement is very important, and you'll see that popping up in specs more often, that they require an open NICs. Not to worry about anything that's branded JENEsys from Lynxspring. They're all open NICs. All right. Recently, all the JENEsys products, as well as the JENEsys 9000, have become BTL listed, and they are RMF ready, which is critical for government buildings. Okay, next slide. Hopefully, if you got any questions, please put them in the Q&A slide or chat anytime you wish. All right. Again, some of the benefits. All right. I like this one, and this kind of catches the people's attention that have been working with JENEsys for a long time, maybe some different brands, maybe not the Niagara or the JENEsys brand, but others, Johnson, Siemens, so on and so forth. The JENEsys Edge product is Niagara, as well as your JENEsys is Niagara. If you want to consider a JENEsys Edge in your next applications, and you understand how to use a JENEsys 9000, or you've been familiar with a JENEsys 8000, there's no learning curve. That Niagara experience is the same. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. That's the mystery that people need to kind of get straight in their head, is that when using an Edge, JENEsys Edge product, that experience is similar to using a JENEsys from a Niagara perspective, including its ability to host and leverage other third-party or open or proprietary drivers. So it's very scalable in that regard, interoperable with other branded products and networks. And when we talk about complexity or reducing complexity, the intent there is that you're using, if you have an opportunity to create a horizontal Niagara architecture, you have one computer with one tool to work the whole project without having to have maybe disparate third-party modules to interact with different non-Niagara devices. That thing is complete from end to end. From a support perspective and a life cycle support perspective, it really makes things easy. And again, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that commissioning an Edge is just like commissioning a JENEsys. All right, next screen, please. And I'm getting close here, Charles, so I got to give you some time, right?
Just a little bit.
All right. Again, all right, benefits of working with Lynxspring. When you work with JENEsys Edge, you're going to be working with Lynxspring. There's different opportunities to work with the JENEsys Edge. We have a vast partner network, including distribution, where you can get access to JENEsys Edge. But when you work, anytime anybody works with us, we want to be a partner with you. We truly do believe that your success is our success, and without your success, we do not have success. We are always supporting JENEsys Edge through its life cycle. It's always being upgraded and enhanced, adaptable to technological changes. For example, like we said, LoRaWAN support soon. That's in the future, including, we all heard of, well, maybe not all of us, but most of us probably heard of Niagara 5. That is fast and coming right at us. and the JENEsys Edge product line is capable of supporting N5. So when that's ready, we'll be ready. When you do work with Lynxspring, you're going to get access to certified training. Charles is your man. Technical support and sales support. We're really good at the Niagara framework. We've been doing it for over 20 some years. The products have been around since 2017, so they're field hardened. They're tested by a variety of third-party laboratories along the way. They're continually being scrutinized and placed in environments that continue the hardening process as well. All right, I think we are almost done here. Charles, one more slide, please. Okay, so again, I just want to reiterate, when you work with Lynxspring, these value propositions on the left-hand side are absolutely our objective when working with you. We have never locked people into our brand or excluded them from going around the world with our products. So we have no vendor lock-in. We don't box you in. We want to actually look for opportunities to use the JENEsys Edge branded product line as augment to your existing product line and in emboldening your business further. It really is not it's not a replacement. It's not a substitute. It's another option. It should embolden your portfolio, give you those opportunities to apply Niagara when it's specified, or those applications that are difficult and cannot be are challenging maybe to other products that are non-Niagara. So there you go. I really want to put it there, and please, if you have questions, we'll give you our information at the end, but put them in the Q&A and we'll get back to you. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it. You did a good job.
You know, one thing that I do find when people are moving to the JENEsys Edge product line is they kind of get lost in the details because they see it as a new box. And so that new box may have some things that are newer than what they're used to. So a lot of people do. A lot of people do get confused immediately, but once we kind of, parallel some things, it really does kind of hit home, especially for those of you who have dealt with JENEsys with NDIO or NRIO. It's actually the same process that you do here. So if I go ahead and I open up a station, and I'll go ahead and just choose one. We'll say this one here. So, for example, I want to go ahead and set up some things. The Onyx network is what we communicate under. It's our proprietary network that talks to not only our onboard IO, that's what I have this Logic IO name here for, but the XM, the extender modules that Bob was talking about, which, fun fact, for the 500 series and 600 series, you can put 8 of them on there. So you can have a total of 306 IO or 286 IO if you were using like the 514. So we can get fairly massive systems here as well. But just to show you kind of how we set up IO for those of you who aren't familiar with this process, I'll go ahead and delete these right here. So if I want, oh, sorry, I don't want to necessarily show you that just yet, but if I go to the Onyx driver point manager, I can go ahead and hit discover. And when I hit discover, I can see, especially on this one here, this is a 34 point IO count here. And actually, this is one that I'm using for a Logic Basics video series, which will both be on YouTube and the Learning Hub, which we'll talk about here too. So if I just want to go ahead and bring in a couple of points here, so we'll say just, these first 4. We'll go ahead and bring these in here. And we've got a variety of types of points. We have a voltage input point. So, if you have a 0 to 10 humidity sensor, CO2 pressure sensor, that's the one that you would have. A resistive input point, just basically if you're just trying to read resistance, that is what you would have here. And then you have a thermistor input point, which supports 10K type 3. Though, if you had 20K sensors, 10K type 2, in some additional ones, we can actually use something called a tabular thermistor, which I'll be having a video series out on as well, and even how to generate those. Then we also support current, so 4 to 20 milliamp sensors, or 4 to 20 milliamp inputs, as well as a counter input point. So if you had like a pulse counter, that you could use that for. Then we have the Boolean types of points here. Pretty much most dry contacts are going to be your Boolean input resistive point. And the digital Boolean input point is actually the new point that's available on the 634 only. So if I say that this is a fan status point here, and I can change the true and false text to whatever I would like. Now, really for fan status, I use running and stopped for mine, but people use on off. I don't really recommend true false, but some people keep that there as well. And then let's say this one here is your space temp. And so here we can select again a variety of ones. I'm going to just check a thermistor input point here. And so you will have to change the facets unless you are using, unless you are using the metric system. But it's very easy to do that. All we need to do is change facets here. Do I have? Yeah, I do actually have my zoom in on here. So I can actually zoom in here, as you can see the units here. And we'll go ahead and just set this up for degrees Fahrenheit. And we'll keep the precision at 1. And then we'll make universal input to here a voltage. So we'll just say, we'll say this is a CO2 sensor. And so with this one here, though, you'll want to go ahead and actually set this up as a linear point here. And for those of you who are not familiar with the scale and offset, I can actually provide you all with a calculator. It's actually just a spreadsheet that I have here that allows people to generate scales and offsets if you aren't familiar with this. So this is the same principle from the NDIO or NRIO, where you just, even though that we can read voltage, we want to make sure that we can actually scale this to what the customer is going to see. So we need to take what we're going to bring into our point as far as voltages go, and then we want to output what the customer sees here. So we're going to say that this one here is, we're going to say it's 12. We'll say this is minus 12.5, or we'll say 12.5. And then we'll say minus 25 here. But just as a, just as a sensor. So actually, we'll just say that this is humidity. That'll be better. And then what we'll do here is we'll change the facets here to, we'll say miscellaneous, and we'll say percent relative humidity. And we'll keep this as 1. We'll keep it as 0 here. And then for the last one here, we'll just choose actually, we'll say that this is a 4 to 20 milliamp here. So we'll say that this is another voltage input point here. We'll say that this is, outdoor air humidity. So we'll say this one was space and this one was outdoor air. So we'll say space humidity. However you want to name your points, that's really completely up to you. We'll say that this is we'll say it's a 500 ohm K shunt. So we'll say that we have a 4 to 20 milliamp here, and then we'll use the linear option here. And we'll say here that this is still 12.5 and minus 25. And then we'll say that this is still percent relative humidity. Now, immediately you are going to see that these two fault out here, and that's just because of the linear extensions that we have here. So we would actually just go through the linear calibrations and just delete them like so to get rid of that fault there. And then we'll go ahead and just add 2 outputs here. We'll just call them EF1 command and EF2 command. EF2. And now we'll go ahead and make this start stop.
Charles, may I ask a question?
Can thermistor have? Yes, absolutely. There is a, just the thermistor input point. No, you would have to make that a tabular thermistor. So like if I brought this in here as a universal input point, we'll say this is thermistor. Then thermistor is you would make a generic. Sorry, it is a thermistor input point, but you would make a generic tabular, and then based upon what you have here, this is in an XML format. So if you wanted to, you could use ChatGPT to actually create an XML file for you, and then you would actually just import said XML file. And I don't think I have any on my laptop right now, but that would be the general process that you have. So with that here, we'll go to the views in the AX wire sheet. And again, this looks like the exact same thing that you would have here. Oops, I did not change that to start stop. So if I wanted to go ahead and take like a space temp here, and obviously I don't have a live sensor here. So we'll go ahead and just say zone temp. And we'll link this here just to have a way that we can actually test our outputs here. So say that this is 70 for now. Now, as far as this goes, Bob did mention third-party drivers, but also third-party modules in case you even wanted to, use your own or Vicon Pro or AX Community, both which are still very popular to use. But I'm just going to use Kit Control here as just just internal to Niagara. I try not to use a lot of those third-party logic modules just because the fact that some customers may not like them on site, or other technicians may not have those. So you should just share them if you wanted to. But again, this is just going to be very basic logic here. So we're just going to say that if the zone temp or space temp is greater than, we'll say 80 degrees for a set point. So we'll create a set point here. Then we can turn on both of our pumps. So I'll go link mark here, select these, link from, out to in 16. Doesn't really matter which input priority you want, but let's go ahead and set this to 80.1. I actually just heard the click in the back of my lab there. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll go ahead and um, oh, I actually do have some inputs there. I guess I did actually set them up. You saw that this went to 326, so it actually went completely closed. So it actually sees that the sensor is shorted out. So I actually do have them there in the back. I didn't think I had anything wired to that controller, which is kind of funny. But regardless, even if I put this back to auto now, we should see that temperature actually decrease here. Actually, we won't because it's still closed. So we'll say 70 again, and we'll turn everything off there. But from a logic perspective, that's really it. It can be as complex or as simple as you need it. Now, obviously, we're going to have more than one edge device in our system, which would require us then to have a supervisor handy. And for those of you who are not familiar with a supervisor is basically this can be a computer or a controller. Basically, its main purpose is to be a central repository for monitoring other Niagara devices. So whether this is a PC or even a 634 if you wanted to, either way, you'd be able to do that. And with our edge devices, as long as they're licensed for 150 points or less, they'll actually count as 1/10 of a Niagara connection, which means that if I had 100 edge devices, I only would need a supervisor 10, which is significantly cheaper or more cost effective than a supervisor 100 for sure. But you may see here, I've got uh, extra, uh, a couple extra program objects here in this particular supervisor. So one thing that I thought about was, what if I had a scenario where I had a bunch of, let's say, air handlers. customers that I wanted to bring in. Well, normally with the Niagara network, you would go ahead and hit discover if they do discover at all. Because remember, especially across a lot of routers, multicasting is not really something that we would have available. So sometimes you have to manually add them. Well, what if we actually had like a CSV file and a CSV file, and we have like a name and an IP address, as well as the name of our controllers and those addresses of the control of those devices, and then log files, which a lot of people think can just be a station or more of a station, but no, it can be logic, it can be anything that you have. And so at that particular case, what if I had a bog file that contained a Niagara station of my air handlers that I want, or an edge light station based upon the based upon the air handler that I want. Now this could be just more than air handler, could be heat pumps, could be fan coil units, unit ventilators, whatever the case may be. So then all I would need to do here with this program object, and I'll give this out to people. I don't mind doing this. But for example, you just select your CSV. You would select the bog file that you want. You choose whether or not you want an edge station or a Niagara station, and then should be able to hit execute, and we should see all of our devices here in the Niagara network. Now, obviously, they're going to fail because of a certificate, but now instead of actually just trying to ping them all by right-clicking them, you can actually run a job that will actually ping them for you. Now, obviously, they're being pinged because we want a secure network. We are secure by default, and we want to go ahead and make sure that we accept those certificates. Now, you can create an object or a program module to approve those certificates, but that can come at that can be more of a security vulnerability. But if I go ahead and just approve these here, and then I go back and then ping these again, see that the authentications failed. Well, the authentication failed because I didn't add a username and password here. But obviously, you can highlight these all, hit edit, and then type in the username and password that you would like. Then if I went and ping these again, they should actually come in and connect just fine here. Obviously, I think I have some of the platform passwords wrong because I don't think I may have used them. I don't think I changed them all there. But you can see that they're all coming in, and they would actually have all the same points as before. So a lot of different things that you can do here in that perspective. So it's just a matter of what you are looking to do to increase your productivity across the Edge product line. Now we also support things like HTTP client and JSON toolkit, and we do support MQTT. Some of the ones that do require a lifetime, that do require an SMA, those are only supported on like the 500 series. The 400 series doesn't support HTTP client and JSON toolkit. So that would be something that like you would create like other program objects for, which we do. Now, also when I did mention third party modules here, here's one that I created this weekend. So imagine if I have my point set up and maybe I sent this out to the field already. Well, maybe someone decided in that field that they needed to change some things. So, like, let's say, oh, exhaust fan one is actually exhaust fan two, and exhaust fan two is exhaust fan one, and maybe the space temp and the OA humidity sensor actually need to change here. So, if I do that and hit apply, and then I go to the point manager here, what we can actually see now is that some of the port addresses changed automatically. So normally what most people would have had to do is, they'd either have to go in and type in the port address, and some people then actually just delete the point and add the point back in. But some things like that you can absolutely use here. for our product line, which works, I think, really, really well. So now that I've done some of that, I kind of want to talk about some estimating here. And I didn't see that in the online presentation. So I'm actually going to pull up the one I have here. So Tanya, I know that there's going to be some font differences, but uh, I'm going to just use this one here. So let me go ahead and bring this up here. Go current slide. All right, so if we want to talk about like estimation and product planning here, and then we'll talk about training, and then we will get into the Q&A here very shortly. So from an estimation standpoint, when using our controllers, the first thing that we need to know is how many points are we actually looking to bring into the system, and then at that point, do we need integration, and if so, how many devices do we need to integrate? As well as, do these controllers actually require a lifetime SMA? As we all know, SMAs can be kind of a hot topic and a sore subject for some customers. They may not want to sit there and actually pay SMA after SMA after SMA. So that's something that we need to consider. And then, do we need to replace any sensors and or actuators for this? So once we kind of have all of that set up, then as far as what we choose for our controllers, it actually becomes fairly simple there. So if you have 68 points or less, I would recommend the 400 series. I really like the 400 series a lot, especially because it does have a lifetime SMA as well. But I mean, for just straight control, I would stick with the 400 series. Now, if you need some significant integrations, then the 500 and 600 series are where you want to go. Also, with the 500, and I believe you can do this with the 600 series as well. Let's say you had 200 devices, but only 400 points across. So let's say you were monitoring meters. Well, you can actually remove the license. We can actually remove the device restriction from there, and actually you're paying then just based upon points that you have. So that is an option that we do have. I don't know how well advertised that is, but it is something that you can do. Now, if you want to integrate more than 25 devices, let's say you have an air handler with VAVs, then you'll want to go with the 600 series of controllers there, especially because you may want to keep that system all centralized there. Now, also one thing that we did not mention, but I do like to mention from time to time, the 600 series offers also a lifetime SMA. But you'll see here that I do have asterisks here. The asterisks actually talk about the APC licensing, which Bob mentioned briefly. So our 400 series, when we first came out with them, which was the 50 device and I mean, sorry, 50 point count and 3 device limit, which talked about as far as backend Modbus points there, which actually we still can get. You would have to pay for it, but it is something you still can get. However, by default, we have this APC 1, 2, 3. The APC 1 is one device at 14 points of I/O. And one backend or Modbus device at 14 points, and the APC 1 specifically for the VAV that we have. Now, as far as the APC2, now we can get into the 4414, which is 2 devices at 14 points of I/O. Or if you want to do the APC3, if you have like a larger VFD that you need to integrate, then that'd be 1 device at 32 points of I/O there. Now, what do you need for project planning? Well, the first thing that we need to figure out is, we need to have a layout of our switches and routers. Obviously, we're going with, IP-based infrastructure, so therefore we need to put that infrastructure in place. Now, whether or not the customer actually has it there in place for you to do, you can certainly use that. Now, if you need spanning tree or rapid spanning tree, we have options for that. Obviously, our VAVs do that, and our 634 also supports rapid spanning tree as well. Now, as far as like if you have 1K sensors, we don't recommend you using them. those will probably need to be replaced there, just because of the resolution that they offer. It's just not really something that works out really well, and that's the same thing with the NDIO as well. So that's actually no different there. And also, if you're trying to do floating control, relay outputs are not really suitable for that. So you may need to have like some like Kelly, like analog output to floating control adapter if you wanted to do that. Now, and then the other question is, do you need the supervisor first? Are you using, export tags? Are you having graphics at the device and and at the supervisor? Are you using virtuals? Those are the kinds of things that you need to think about when you are doing this. Now, as far as training and resources, I am your go-to for training here. We offer the N4 Foundations. It used to be called the TCP or Level 1. It's now called the Niagara 4 Foundations. And we also provide the Level 2. We currently don't provide the Level 3 or the Advanced. We're working on that. But as of right now, we don't offer that just yet. And we do offer an Edge technical certification training. So I do take you underneath the hood of the Edge controllers. We talk about them at a significant level. I also provide wiring videos to show you how to wire these devices as well. So we go through a lot, including an entire day on the Edge. And we offer any custom training that you may have. So whether you have development questions or Java questions or anything like that, anywhere in between, we can offer that for you at some kind of cost. Other resources that we have, if you go to the Learning Hub, I have a lot of free videos there. There are things that are both on YouTube and the Learning Hub, and there are some things that are only on the Learning Hub. However, I will mention that it is a free sign up. I don't believe in paying for a lot of that information. I give away as much as possible. And some of you, I believe I've seen there actually part of my developer series that I have there. Some of you are taking that lead to creating your own modules for our products. We also offer some self-paced learning there that is free. The only one that we do not have that is free is the N4 Foundations, which is a self-paced, but is paid. You get a year to actually go through it, and then you pay for the test at that point. But other resources that we have is the resources website, resources.lynxspring.com. And actually, there is where you can download our Edge-centric applications. These are applications that we created for our Edge devices across the 634 all the way to the 14 series as well. We also provide some estimating tools for our salespeople that actually do want to bid on projects, as well as product data sheets for everything there. All right, well, that's all that I have here, but we do have time for questions and answers. And we saw that we had a few here in the chat. We do have the question here of, what Edge products will be N5 upgradable. So the short answer to that is we're testing them all. And once we have significant testing available, we will be providing information for that. But we are looking to actively upgrade all of our controllers and test them thoroughly for N5, obviously, since that is in the horizon. Also, another question that we have is, can you privately label our stuff? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. That is something that you can talk to us. Bob, do you want to add anything there?
I do. Sorry, can you hear me, Charles?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I got a question for you. We talked about in a previous slide some N4 options for training and N4 resources. As we mentioned earlier, N5 is just seems like if you're familiar with the Niagara marketplace, we've been talking about N5 for a couple of years now, but it is literally around the corner. What are you doing to prepare for N5 from a training and support perspective?
So that's a really great question. So from a training perspective, for those of you who aren't really familiar with N5, there's not much of a difference between N5 and N4 currently. The materials will be upgraded to N5. However, there aren't as many new features currently. the main push for Niagara 5 was primarily to upgrade to Java 25 because we've been at Java 8 for a very long time. And so now moving to Java 25 allows more flexibility, better security, and then actually easier to upgrade when you go to like Java 26 and so forth and stuff like that. So, that's really the big thing there. If you are part of the developer program, you do have access to Niagara 5 right now to test. We are in phase 2 of testing, and as well as I think it's supposed to be September is when it's going to be released for beta to the public. From a support standpoint, we're still trying to figure all out, what controllers can can talk, can use Niagara 5 right now, and what would need to happen for the other ones that may or may not. But again, we are in the process of testing all that. But yeah, from a training perspective, it's just kind of new paint. I have upgraded some modules already as well to kind of test in Niagara 5, and that's a process in and of itself as well. So I'll be upgrading some things on the Learning Hub when we are allowed to do so.
I'll add to your comments there about Java. And that was a realization we had with folks at Tritium, is that a large requirement for the N5 was upgrading from Java 6, I believe, to 25, which is from a performance standpoint, an improvement. There's a lot, if you can imagine, the complexity of Java 6 is not so as complex in Java 25, though the performance and the efficiencies are much greater in Java 25. When that is part of an embedded device, we always think Niagara is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you have to have bigger and bigger processors. And the 600 series definitely has that. But even on our 5s and 4s, it is very possible, and those things are being tested, that with the N5 and the Java 25 upgrade, Niagara might be more efficient in the N5 environment rather than the N4 environment. So we're really looking forward to that, and we think N5 is a launching point for all kinds of newer things, not a limitation to the existing base of controllers that were occurred in the Niagara N4.
So got another question about when the LoRaWAN is available, will Lynxspring offer compatible sensors as well? I believe the answer is yes. I believe that. Bob, do you know the answer to that off the top? I believe we are, right?
Absolutely. We compatible sensors in the LoRaWAN arena, which is a benefit to adaptation of LoRa, is the WAN part is connecting all these wonderful sensors that are out there. Multiple vendors have available to us a lot of LoRaWAN capable products, not just sensors, but commandable devices as well. So we're looking forward to that. So our adaptation is to test and qualify products that we believe are suitable for your applications. We want to do that first and let you know what that is. We may or may not brand them, but the jury's still out on that. But absolutely, we want to have a qualified list of available sensors that you can feel sure are going to work with our LoRaWAN transceiver that will be on the edge device.
All right. Are there any more questions out there in the audience?
There is one question I see in our Q&A that I don't believe we addressed, and I don't want to spring this on you, but can you answer this one? Can the thermistor point, and this came up during your demo, can the thermistor point have a conversion for type 2?
Is if you brought in I thought I answered this, but I'll do it again. So if I make this, let's say 5, We set this up as a tabular thermistor. And so what you would probably do first is export, let's say this to type 3, and we'll just say, let's say that be type 2 instead, right? So then we'll change this to type 2. And then you can adjust you can adjust it there, or if you had it available, you could import it. So like that, the fact that I exported it and I'm importing the same file, but the process still is the same. So like if you the only reason why I recommend you export it is just the fact that it gives you the encoding that you need, and then you can bring it back in as the same thing here, and then you would just hit OK. I thought I had a video out, but I will put that out on YouTube here shortly.
Thank you, Charles.
Welcome. All right. Well, that's going to conclude our webinar for today. So thank you for everyone that has attended, and hopefully for those of you who are not familiar with the Edge product line, that you will reach out to Lynxspring for your needs and potentially get into the Edge product line. We'll see what we can do to sign you up. All right. Well, have a great one, everyone.